Okay, hello, and thank you for joining today's virtual education program with Cancer Support Community Los Angeles. I'm Larissa Montalvo, and I'm the program manager here at CSCLA. I welcome you to this week's webinar titled Importance of Greens and How to Sneak Them In. Today's webinar is the final presentation of a 3-part longevity nutrition series. Visit our virtual library to rewatch parts 1 and 2 for more nutrition education, recipes, and cooking demonstrations to help you live healthier longer. Today, we'll be joined by registered dietitian and certified vegan chef Katie Reines to learn all about the power of green foods. Stay tuned to learn more about what makes green foods so good for us and for tips on how you can sneak more greens into your meals. Follow the link in the chat for the recipe used in today's demonstration. But before we begin, if this is your first time joining us, Cancer Support Community Los Angeles is a premier nonprofit organization providing vital social and emotional support to families facing cancer, including patients, caregivers, and their loved ones, all at no cost. Our programs include support groups, healthy lifestyle classes, social activities, and educational programs such as this one. If you'd like to learn more about our services or watch our past webinars, please visit our website at www.cancersupportla.org. So without further ado, I would like to welcome today's speaker. Katie Reines is a registered dietitian nutritionist with the Create Cures Foundation Clinic in Santa Monica, California. She's been plant-based for over 10 years and wrote her master's thesis on plant-based nutrition and cancer. Katie is a published author of the Disease Cookbook, a certified vegan chef who provides educational cooking classes and food demonstrations for her audiences, and she's an owner of a private practice where she utilizes her experience with plant-based nutrition and disordered eating. Welcome, Katie, and thank you so much for joining us again today.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for such an incredible intro. I'm very honored to be here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Share. Okay, importance of greens and how to sneak them in. And everybody, I hope that you are well aware of where your chat box is at. Let me make sure I have mine open because I am going to be asking some questions and I'd love to hear from everybody. Make sure that we're all learning something from this. Probably somebody out there has in the back of their mind, oh goodness, not another dietitian preaching about eating more greens and eating more broccoli. I'm fully aware that this is something that people probably have heard before, eat your broccoli, eat your vegetables. Well, today we're going to get to the root of why and make sure that we're all very excited after this talk to feel really empowered and like we're going to be, knowing the reasons why to add these green vegetables. And for some reason, I'm not able to go full screen and still see the chat box. So I'm just going to go like this. Amazing. So, give me 1 second. I do work at the Create Cures Foundation. This is a foundation that goes over a lot of ways to help prevent and reverse chronic disease. I invite you to schedule a consultation, and this is my email right here, and I'll remind you again at the end of this webinar. So, very excited.
Katie, are you able to hit start slideshow?
Yeah, I am. I don't know why I'm not able to see the chat box. Usually I am, but here, let me see if I can do that again. Thank you for saying something. I wonder. Yeah, the chat box totally disappears when I do that. Well, we'll figure that out when we get there. But today we'll cover vegetables and health statistics, why this is important, right? Health promoting components of green vegetables and easy, sneaky greens recipes. And of course, there is going to be a quiz at the end, so be sure to pay attention. And you're going to do well on this quiz at the end. So I'm curious to hear from all of you. If you could please share in the chat box, how many out of 10 Americans eat enough fruits or vegetables? If you could please go ahead in the chat box and share. And at the moment, I cannot see my chat box. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh, here we go. Thank goodness I was able to open it. Let's see. 1, 2. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. Jeffrey says 3. Alicia, 1, 2, 2, 1, 4. Right. So what percent of Americans? Nice. 5. Guessing 2 or 3. 2. Nice. So it looks like people are guessing on the lower end. We think that less rather than more Americans are getting enough fruits and vegetables. Studies show, let's see who's right here, only 1 in 10 Americans eat enough fruits or vegetables. And recently, what just happened? I don't know. This linked to a study from the CDC, but recently, so this gets updated weekly, January 7th, 2022, 10% of people in 2019, this was revised, still only 10% of people, Americans, are taking in enough fruits and vegetables. So this is really unfortunate. And I'm really excited that we're all here to discover the reasons why. And I also just want to make it clear that we're all very fortunate. Most people who aren't taking in enough fruits and vegetables, very low income communities. In the good morning video on the screen is a speaker sitting with the good morning cast. I'm not sure, Jenny. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check that out. But I'm very glad that we're all able to be here today and making sure that hopefully we can improve this statistic together and set a good example. So if we did eat more fruits and vegetables, research has shown that we can reduce risk of heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and this is significantly, right? So this is like 30% decreased risk. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, reduced risk of cancer, reduced risk of obesity, and overall reduced risk of death. I remember in my last presentation, I went over a huge meta-analysis showing that if we ate about 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, we can reduce our risk of all causes of death by about a third. And I just wanted to get a little bit more in detail here. When it comes to just vegetables alone, there's a link between 400 grams, about 14 ounces of vegetables per day. That's about 4 servings, is an 18% lower risk of developing heart disease. And when it comes to, first of all, 1 serving is 1 cup raw or 1/2 cup cooked of vegetables. This is a question I get a lot. How much is even a serving? What are we looking at here? And with this, I'm actually curious if you could put in the chat box, who in here thinks they have already eaten 4 servings of vegetables today? Yes or no? Yes or no? Put I haven't. I have not yet. No. You've had 3. No, no, no. So hopefully some of us are going to include nice. Linda says yes, maybe 3. Nice. My dad says yes. I love this. This is really important to think about, right? If you can significantly reduce your risk of disease just by including vegetables, and there's lots of different kinds of vegetables. I haven't even gotten into the green specifically yet. We're talking about all kinds of vegetables. That even includes potatoes and corn and beans are considered a vegetable. Peas, lots of vegetables, carrots, they don't have to be greens, including 1 cup raw or 1/2 cup cooked, trying to get in 4 servings. This is going to really, really help. And thinking about it throughout the day, looks like most of us have not. So I'm glad we're here. Let's figure out ways to get in more vegetables. So something that I'm sure you're all interested in, considering this is a talk geared towards mostly cancer, an audience that's interested in cancer, there's been really big meta-analyses going over why vegetables and fruits are so important to help prevent development of cancer. There is a lot of research specifically on colorectal cancer and especially colon cancer, maybe having to do with fiber uptake as well as, of course, antioxidants. Also, the nurses study showing that 2 servings of fruit, approximately 5 servings of vegetables per day, associated with the lowest mortality risk, including cancer. And of course, there is so much research underneath a microscope that I'll be going over later that components in broccoli can decrease the number and size of breast cancer cells by up to, it says, I wrote 75% here, but 65 to 80%, you can decrease the size and number of breast cancer cells. So there's so much research out there, and I'm really excited that we're going to go into it. So maybe you have an idea why might green vegetables prevent disease? I just named off a few really quickly. Let's make sure we're all paying attention here. Why could, if maybe you don't know, and you can say, I'm not sure, but what is something about vegetables that could be helpful for preventing and maybe even reversing disease? Ooh, Angela said chlorophyll, fiber, morally right. Organic nutrients, chlorophyll, antioxidants. Nice, Rachel. Vitamins, nutrients to help your immune system. Totally. Antioxidants catch free radicals. Sulforaphane. Nice, Doris. Fiber, healthy fats. Awesome. 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 These are all beautiful, perfect answers. Exactly. And I'm glad. Cool. Okay. Protein. So I'm going to go with, I'm scrolling up. Angela said chlorophyll. The first component that I am going to be talking about is chlorophyll. So why vegetables prevent disease risk, specifically green vegetables, do contain chlorophyll. So there's chlorophyll. Yes, antioxidants are able to latch on to carcinogens, which mutate our DNA, right? Antioxidants are able to prevent that DNA from being mutated. Phytochemicals, that literally means plant chemicals. So that's just a huge umbrella of lots of flavonoids and other components that act as antioxidants. Vitamins and minerals can also act as these antioxidants to protect our DNA from damage, and fiber, right? So let's talk about chlorophyll. What makes green vegetables green? I just gave away the answer. You can share it in the chat box, but yes, the answer is chlorophyll. So chlorophyll, are these components reduced by cooking? Great question, Jeffrey. I'm going to get into that. Many of them are actually not reduced by cooking, and it does depend on the cooking method as well. So if we're boiling and dumping out the cooking water, we don't want to do that. It's actually better to steam. Even microwaving can help preserve nutrients, or make a soup where you're eating the liquid medium that you're cooking the food in can help absorb and get in those nutrients. That's a great question. I'm going to go into that more. But chlorophyll is that green pigment that it is actually, what about putting a lid on the pot? You're still going to be losing some nutrients. I have to show you this incredible picture of plant chlorophyll compared to a heme in our blood. The component in our blood that transports oxygen, its structure looks just exactly like plant chlorophyll that helps give plants energy from the sun. It's amazing to me how similar like the veins in our arms are compared to the veins in a leaf. We are quite similar. And it's amazing to me how when we're taking in plant chlorophyll, this really does help build the blood. Magnesium is so essential for, yes, blood health, but of course, brain health and helping keep a calm, stable mood, helping us sleep at night. Magnesium is very important for regulating our digestion. And there's just, the similarities here are mind-blowing to me. And I'm really excited to continue to tie this in as we move forward. So this is a very basic image of a carcinogen. So this is cigarette smoke. This can also look like smog. Carcinogens are also created when we're eating burnt food, blackened foods, and rancid oils are also carcinogenic. So things that like burnt toast, for example, or of course, blackened meats. If we are even stressed out over exercising, this can create free radicals. This can create a species that is going to cause mutations in our DNA. And some carcinogens actually look like a strand in our DNA and can slip into our DNA and really cause issues. So thinking about cancer and preventing that, we're going to want to do whatever we can to prevent our DNA from being damaged. Our bodies we're going to be in a new body in about 7 to 10 years, right? We're going to have all new cells. We're constantly creating new cells. We're constantly in a state of potentially developing cancer. And what's really amazing about what we're talking about here is how to prevent these carcinogens from affecting our DNA. Back in 2009, they had just a few subjects injected with this toxin, this aflatoxin, and comparing that aflatoxin with and without chlorophyll from spinach, the addition of the chlorophyll from spinach was shown to not infiltrate the bloodstream as much as it on its own. And this is so interesting. And it's been studied a little bit more since then. And more recently, chlorophyll and the derivatives of chlorophyll have been studied to make it so that it's actually going to help with multi-drug resistance in cancer cells and bacteria. It makes it so that, I'm just going to paint you a picture really quickly. When I was describing how carcinogens can slide into our DNA, what chlorophyll is able to do, it has been shown to be able to do, just like other antioxidants, is glob on to the carcinogen and make it not fit. It won't be able to affect our DNA when there's chlorophyll present. That chlorophyll will really make it so that our DNA is protected, because that carcinogen, it won't fit anymore. And this pheophytin, this is a derivative of chlorophyll. It's related to chlorophyll from spinach. They're able to inhibit and reverse multi-drug resistance in cancer cells. So this is just being researched more and more, and it's absolutely fascinating to me. And tying this together too, what's so cool about greens compared to orange vegetables and red vegetables is that this chlorophyll, yes, as I showed you this image previously of the magnesium in the middle, it looks just like heme in our blood. If you live in the north where there's seasons changing, I know here in Los Angeles we don't really see this. This is an image to show you that greens don't just have chlorophyll. Greens are incredible because they also contain lutein, beta carotene, the carotenoids. They also contain anthocyanins. These are amazing, incredible pigments that act as antioxidants as well. Chlorophyll is not the only color that acts as an antioxidant, but think about kale. So if you have kale and it goes bad, it turns yellow. Greens also have these other amazing antioxidants in there. They simply just aren't showing them. The chlorophyll is going to be the brightest. It's going to be showing up. However, greens also have other ones too. Like, for example, kale is a really great source of lutein, which is really amazing for eye health and preventing cataracts. In my talk about brain health, I was explaining how anthocyanins are so important for preventing Alzheimer's disease. And green vegetables that contain chlorophyll likely also have these other ones as well. Whereas in carrots, for example, you're not going to have the green pigment chlorophyll, which is super interesting to me. Okay. So I think somebody already mentioned this. Share in the chat box, yes or no. Have you heard of sulforaphane? So we talked about chlorophyll. That's one very unique, amazing component of greens, that color green that can glob onto carcinogens. Ooh, some people have heard of sulforaphane. Some people no. Yes, no, yes. Nice, Rachel. No, Denise. Okay, it seems like it's 50-50. No. Okay. So sulforaphane, it's an incredible component of cruciferous green vegetables. So not necessarily in spinach, but in vegetables like collard greens, kale. It's most often studied in broccoli. I just put this screenshot from Google of all of the supplements that are out there now because sulforaphane is so amazing, right? Sulforaphane broccoli seed extract. It's been studied a lot, and it's what I mentioned earlier that has been shown under a microscope to reduce the size and number of breast cancer cells by 65 to 80%. That's what we're talking about here. Sulforaphane, it's that compound. So here's that study again. I just took a screenshot of the actual study. Reduce size and number by, here it says 8 to 125 fold. This is unbelievable research. When this came out, it was like, what is going on here? Broccoli cures cancer? Like, is this for real? So obviously more research is always needed, and we're trying to get to the bottom of what is the sulforaphane? How can we get it in? And there's a lot more research now on humans. So it was reported that daily consumption of brassica vegetables reduces risk of breast cancer by 20 to 40%. That's very significant. This is from 2018, and there's even been more research since then. But before we go in any further, I want to make it very clear that just like Jeffrey, yes, it was Jeffrey who mentioned earlier, hey, what about, are these components reduced by cooking? Yes, in order to make sulforaphane, we need to make sure that the enzyme myrosinase is kept cold. Myrosinase is very sensitive to heat. So myrosinase and glucoraphanin, when these two are combined, you get sulforaphane. And the myrosinase enzyme is released, and it does its magic during the chewing of the raw vegetable. However, if the broccoli is cooked, this myrosinase enzyme, it's denatured, it's destroyed, and you're not going to be able to have that sulforaphane present. Now, there are lots of hacks to make it so that you can get your benefit from broccoli, from kale. Like I said, broccoli is not the only vegetable that contains or has a potential for containing sulforaphane. Broccoli has just simply been the most well-researched so far, and kale can do this as well. And it's in reasonable amounts, really just a half a cup of raw broccoli a day, depending on your height, your weight, your activity level. A half a cup of raw broccoli a day should be amazing for your capacity to prevent and even potentially reverse cancer. Also, the hack and hold method, which I'll describe later, another myrosinase source. So there's more sources than just broccoli that have this enzyme. If you cook your broccoli and then sprinkle some mustard powder on top, mustard powder contains the enzyme myrosinase that's able to do that conversion. And you'll actually be able to absorb the potent sulforaphane, the potent cancer reverser sulforaphane, by just putting mustard powder on top. The best way, though, is through sprouting. I think this is probably the cheapest, the most sustainable once you get the hang of it. Really, really cheap. These sprouting seeds are maybe $3 to $5. You can probably get them at a health food store, maybe even a gardening store. Soak them overnight and germinate them. Just let them stay a little bit moist. So soak them and then drain it so that they are like just moist. Maybe let them be soaked and then drained maybe twice a day so that they stay moist. And then for 48 hours, that's when you have the peak amount of sulforaphane present in these broccoli sprouts. Put them on top of a salad, put them in a sandwich, eat them out of the jar. Those are going to be your best source of sulforaphane is in the sprouts. And that's why there's so many supplements that are, sulforaphane seed, germinated seed supplements, or these sprout supplements. Highly recommend sprouting. But let's talk about the hack and hold method, because this is also a great way if you like cooked broccoli. Right when you get home from the store, it's going to be a great idea to chop your broccoli, wait 30 to 40 minutes, and then you can either put it in the fridge or wait and then cook it. Because the sulforaphane is heat stable, and the enzyme, like I said before, the enzyme myrosinase gets released and performs this conversion during the chewing of the raw vegetable. And that mechanical chopping has also been shown to work. So that is so fascinating to me. If you get home from the grocery store, chop your broccoli, let it hang out for a half hour, 40 minutes, then put it in the fridge and then cook it later, or then cook it, you're going to have all of the beneficial properties of that sulforaphane. Super interesting. There's other beneficial components of greens as well. Just like I mentioned before, that magnesium in the chlorophyll greens are also a wonderful source of iron and calcium. So getting in these necessary minerals. Obviously, iron is important for blood health. Calcium is important for our muscles. People forget that calcium is a very abundant, necessary mineral for a lot of reasons, not just bone health. When we're trying to prevent cancer and trying to eat less dairy products, the best way to get bioavailable calcium is definitely from your broccoli. 1 cup of collard greens cooked has more bioavailable calcium than 1 glass of dairy milk, a cup for a cup. So taking in that cooked collard greens, not only are you getting magnesium, iron, calcium, but you're also getting those chlorophylls, you're also getting the sulforaphane, right? Especially if you're combining it with another source of myrosinase or chopping it before. Also, you're getting antioxidant vitamins. So greens do contain vitamin C and E. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble, potent antioxidant that protects our cell membranes from damage. Just like I was saying that chlorophyll acts as an antioxidant on carcinogens that can slip into our DNA, vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that can really help protect our cell membranes from damage. Also, of course, folate, so necessary. Pregnant women, preventing birth defects. Folate is very important for blood health and for developing our DNA, making healthy DNA. Vitamin K, fiber, carotenoids, like there's so much. Quercetin, another amazing antioxidant compound. And these are just a few that we've discovered, right? Thinking about all that's in the plant kingdom and all the different colors that are out there, all the different little tiny phytochemicals. I'm just barely listing a few. If you want to share some more in the chat, there's a lot more flavonoids and antioxidants in greens that I haven't even mentioned. There's just such a symphony that has yet to be researched and discovered. So yeah, I could honestly talk for a while about each one of those, but here we go. Green foods, talking about actually getting these in, making this sustainable, making this possible. They can be fresh, of course, but frozen, cooked, or raw, however you like them, please get them in. Whatever is most convenient for you, please do it. Yes, organic is preferred, of course. However, if it's more available to you to have not organic, get the not organic. Herbs are amazing as well. Are people who don't eat greens getting these components from other foods? Yes, these components are in other foods. And it's fascinating too that these, there is a lot like quercetin, actually, red onions and different vegetables have a lot of different compounds and phytonutrients as well. However, like kale is really like the king of all of these phytochemicals. It's incredible. These cruciferous vegetables are amazing. And specifically getting in chlorophyll, I think, is really important. So yes, all vegetables are incredible as long as they work with your body and your digestive system. They're incredible. And I think it's really important that we do take in the greens just because there is such a variety of phytochemicals and antioxidants, and of course, minerals. It's a little bit more difficult to meet your need for calcium as a plant-based individual if you're not taking in cooked collard greens or cooked kale, cooked broccoli. Like maybe you could rely on fortified almond milk or soy milk to get your calcium. However, it's going to be much more full of antioxidants and fiber and going to be a lot healthier in the long run if you are getting those minerals from greens. Yeah, I really do think every single day I'm like, oh, I would feel so much better if I had some greens today. It's something that's constantly in the back of my mind because they really are that powerful. Herbs are amazing as well. And this is something that's a lot more easy to grow. I know some people maybe don't have a garden. Kale, collard greens, broccoli, spinach, not necessarily spinach, but these cruciferous vegetables are very hardy and they can actually survive in colder climates. So if you in the winter, even in whether you're in LA or the Northeast, wherever you're at, kale, collards, these should be able to grow. They should be able to grow year round and keep producing. Herbs, if you don't have any yard space can easily grow on your windowsill. And these can definitely add lots of phytochemicals and antioxidants and help prevent disease long term. There's also, if you travel a lot, I think that taking a greens powder supplement would be a fantastic idea. And thinking about green tea, right? Matcha. So green tea is the water from greens, from a green plant that can actually help provide a source of that chlorophyll and sprouts, as I mentioned before. So one thing I want to quickly mention about supplements, I do have a consumer lab account where it's a third-party testing site, and they really do check to make sure that these supplements are actually absorbed and they actually say what they are, or they actually are what they say they are. So some supplements on there will contain lead, for example, or will contain things that are not healthy for us. So it's a good idea to really make sure that the supplements that you're taking in, and that's something that I do provide my clients. And if you're interested in this type of service, like, I think it's well worth it to look into what your supplements, if they're actually doing what they say that they're supposed to be doing, or if they're not even being absorbed. So let's get into the how to sneak them in. Let's get into the recipes. This is actually a recipe from my cookbook. It's a simple serene green oats. And one really easy way to sneak in your greens is to blend the greens with the liquid in a recipe, whether you're making pancakes or baked goods, or even oatmeal. Blend that spinach, blend that kale with your water, with your almond milk that you're using, and then use that to make whatever you would use that liquid for. It doesn't have to be so much greens that you don't like the taste anymore. Even just a little bit can go a long way if you're sneaking it in throughout the day. And I'm going to share with you, this is a fresh kale tortilla recipe, and I do have a video. Yes.
In this video,
here, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for sharing. Yes, the green tortilla recipe. Here, I'm going to go ahead and play this.
In this video, you are going to learn how to sneak some greens in with some fresh, easy tortillas. All you need is 1 to 2 cups of raw kale, 2/3 cups of water. Blend it for about 30 seconds until smooth, and then combine the wet ingredients into your dry ingredients. You just need 2 cups of flour. Whatever kind of flour you want is fantastic. If you want to use chickpea flour or gluten-free flour, that's great. Mix it, knead to combine, and then make sure to put flour on your cutting board. Cut into 8 even pieces. So cut in half again, and then again, and then again, and roll these into balls. If you want to save these balls for later, that's fantastic, and make fresh. Just press down, and then using a rolling pin, or no excuses, a water bottle, roll into a tortilla, and then heat up your pan on medium heat. Make sure it's hot enough. Heat 2 minutes on each side, and it should be slippery on that pan. You don't need any oil or anything. And look how it puffs up. So delicious, so fun. Make sure to serve it with a source of fat, maybe some hummus, a source of protein, source of vitamin C to get in all of those amazing nutrients from those greens, and enjoy.
Yay. All right, that was that. And awesome. So this is one example of just combining when you blend the greens into the liquid when you're making your recipe. It makes it so much healthier, right? You're going to be getting a lot more antioxidants, a lot more nutrients from whatever it is that you're making. And it barely changes the flavor. In fact, I actually like the flavor a lot more. So different ways to include greens, and I would love your input on this. I'd love to hear in the chat box, what are your favorite ways to sneak greens in? I'm sure you all are already kind of spinning your wheels thinking about what could I do to sneak in more greens. Some ideas that I happen to enjoy on the side with your dinner, that could be fun and easy to just incorporate a big salad with your dinners, mix it into a pasta or a stir fry. The amount of clients I've had that say, wow, yeah, I put a couple of handfuls of baby kale into my pasta dish and I couldn't even tell it was there. It was just delicious. Yep, I put green juicing on this list. Green juicing is a great way. Some people find that time consuming and expensive to continue to buy so much, but it's a really great way to get a concentrated amount of that chlorophyll and of all those antioxidants. The one downside about green juicing is that you're taking away the beneficial fibers. I could give a whole another presentation just on the fibers, the variety of different types of fiber, the fiber when it's raw, the fiber when it's cooked, how these fibers are able to build beneficial microbiota in our gut that can really improve our immune system and even our mood. You've probably heard of the gut-brain connection. It's so important to include fiber in our diet. So when it comes to smoothies and juices, highly recommend that you're putting a lot of greens in there, a lot of fiber in your smoothies for sure. Include your smoothies, some nuts, some seeds, maybe some oats, something to slow down any type of fruit sugar spike, because when you're processing these smoothies, when you're blending these things, the fibers are broken down so much that it can lead to a blood sugar spike. And same with a green juice. If you're going to be drinking juice, I highly recommend that you don't drink fruit juice, just because it can act the same way in your body as just drinking Coca-Cola, because of the blood sugar spike from there not being enough fiber. So if we're going to be taking in green juice, highly recommend it's simply the sweetener is from lemon, right? Making it very green. We don't want to develop diabetes from drinking too much fruit juice. Okay. Hope that made sense. Fresh salad every night. Yes. I love it. I add it to lentils. I take Juice Plus is one of those supplements that does have clinical research on the benefit of that product. Like those products have shown to be pretty good. There's other things about certain supplements as far as the way that their marketing works, and they make you sign up for, I don't even know, but yeah, that's one of those that if there is research on the product, I feel like that's a great option if it's convenient for you. However, it's still, if you're taking it from a supplement, you are definitely missing out on a lot of the cofactors, the enzymes, the fibers. There's still a lot that you're missing out on from the whole food. The whole food is definitely going to be better in the long run. And any way that you can get in these foods, fantastic. And it's not going to hurt, especially if you're not even meeting the bare minimum, to take in a Juice Plus supplement, to take in a greens powder. If you're really busy, really noticing you're not taking in enough greens, not taking in enough vegetables, those type of supplements can be very helpful. All right. Soups and stews, sandwiches and wraps. One more thing I want to mention about, we were talking about the cooking methods. It's fantastic having a soup or a stew, right? Having these moist heat cooking methods, rather than when things are blackened, are burned, or if they're heated, when you're putting something in the oven, it has the potential to go over that 212 degrees, right? That boiling temperature. And that just leaves more room for more enzymes and more components to be denatured. So we do want to keep things on the, less hot. So keep it low and slow rather than quick and fast when it comes to cooking methods is the best way to preserve nutrients. So I take Juice Plus. Does anybody else have any ideas? I think that it's great to discuss this and think about, talk with people you live with, talk with your practitioners and say okay, this is what I'm going to do. Make sure you have some accountability. Add some broccoli sprouts to your sandwiches, to your wraps, to your salads. Very, very important long-term. I think it's really, really fun for me to get to take all of the research that's been done and do it in my practice with my patients, to get to implement the research and be able to confidently say, you are significantly reducing your risk of cancer right now. You are significantly reducing the possibility for carcinogens to affect you and for your DNA to be mutated. It's become factual now, and it shows with patients getting better and better. Is stir-fried veg with olive oil healthy? Olive oil is fantastic. Yes, I highly recommend cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. Matcha powder added to smoothies with fruit and almond milk Fantastic. I love all this. Homemade salad dressing with greens in them. Woohoo! Greens on top of the greens. Healthy, healthy. I love it. That sounds awesome. Especially, I love blending like basil or something like that. If you can get, or even don't worry about it being fresh. If you have those dried, even having it dried as a seasoning, that can be helpful as well. As avocado, avocado is a great source of a lot of antioxidants, and it does have chlorophyll in there. Anything that's green is going to have that chlorophyll pigment that's really helpful. If you had to choose one action step to improve nutrition, what would it be? Ooh, that's a great question. I'd love to ask everybody in here that question. Is frozen broccoli? Frozen broccoli is fantastic. Yeah, frozen broccoli is still great. I think that any way that you can get in your greens and your vegetables, let's do it. Here, let's go over this quiz, and then I'm so excited to answer your questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A because we're going to go over that after this quiz. Kale better cooked or raw? Kale is similar to broccoli in that it's you can for sure cook it. I would just recommend chopping it first and letting it hang out for a half hour to 40 minutes. Kale, I would recommend eating it raw if possible. If you like it raw, I sometimes like it raw. Sometimes it's just like so much more satisfying when it's cooked. Both are very healthy, but you're going to get a little bit more benefit eating it raw. Okay, so let's go over this quiz. What is one serving of vegetables considered in cups? Is one serving of vegetables 3 cups? Is it a quarter cup? What's a serving of vegetables? 4 cups. Let's see. Jennifer said 1 cup raw or 1/2 cup cooked. Yoo-hoo, 1/2 cup. Okay, one raw, 1/2 cooked. Nice. Yeah. So it seems like I'm glad you all paying attention. This is fantastic. So the reason why it's 1/2 cup cooked, if you've ever done this magic trick where you put spinach on the stove and you're sauteing some spinach, you put a mountain of spinach on your pan, but then, 5 minutes later, it turns into nothing. Like all the water steams out of it and it gets so much smaller. So vegetables that are cooked shrink a lot. So the serving size is 1/2. In general, it's 1/2 cup cooked is a serving because it's just like everything shrinks together. And 1 cup raw, there's just so much more mass. There's so much more water. Thinking about, raw kale versus cooked kale, I think like with leafy greens like that, I would consider 2 cups a serving rather than just 1 cup, just because there's so much air in between. So with raw vegetables, 1 cup is a serving, and with cooked vegetables, 1/2 cup is a serving. Awesome job, everybody, paying attention. What are 3 diseases, chronic diseases, that may be prevented if we ate about 4 servings of vegetables every day? Cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Yes, those are the top 3 leading causes of death. Yes, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Great job, everybody. So awesome. If there's anything you get from this talk, it's really connecting the dots between living my best life, being optimally healthy, not needing to worry about chronic disease. That is in our hands when our hand is full of broccoli. Okay, make sure we're eating 4 servings of vegetables every single day. And if that doesn't happen, are you saying we should have 4 servings per day? Yes, I am. 4 servings per day. That's exactly what I'm saying. And if you already have 4 servings, and you want to have some more power to you. I'm not going to tell you to eat less than 8 servings. The reality is, though, a lot of research did show that the benefit did kind of taper off for the most part after 5 servings of vegetables. It's when fruits and vegetables combined. That was the research with the 8 to 10 servings showed a 31% decreased risk of all causes of death. So about 4 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of fruits too, because there's a lot of antioxidants and phytochemicals that are different in fruit as well. Like that source of vitamin C, that's fresh. Vitamin C is one of those antioxidant vitamins that is sensitive to heat as well. So it's kind of nice to get that from fresh fruit. eating both, very important when it comes to vegetables, 4 servings for sure. Ooh, I'll go back and explain the hack and hold method. That's a good question. I'll go back and explain that in 1 second. Benefits of hummus. There's endless benefits of hummus. Put these questions in the Q&A. I want to make sure that y'all got everything out of this talk that I intended. So 3 examples of green vegetables. This is a pretty easy question, but I want to make sure kale, broccoli, spinach, nice. Kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. One thing about spinach, it actually is not a brassica vegetable. So the brassica family, kale, collard greens, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, those are the ones that contain lettuce. Fantastic. Lettuce is amazing. Anything that's green, amazing. But the brassicas are the ones that contain more. Oh, I didn't even talk about the sulfur containing compounds. Which are actually really beneficial from collards and Brussels sprouts and kale and cabbage. Those contain sulforaphane. Okay. Spinach, not necessarily. Spinach is also higher in oxalates, which we don't necessarily want to overdo it on the spinach and the Swiss chard. Spinach is still fantastic though. I highly recommend eating spinach. Amazing. But to get your highly bioavailable calcium, reaching for the collards and the kale and the broccoli. I don't recommend eating raw Brussels sprouts simply because I've never done it and it sounds gross, but maybe it is good for you. Honestly, I don't know about the raw Brussels sprouts. That's a great question. I should research that. Thank you, everybody. Great job listing 3 examples of green vegetables. Okay, what is one way that you will incorporate more greens after this presentation? And it looks like how many people are in here? I expect an answer from every single person. What is one way? What is one idea that you have? Smoothies, eat more broccoli. Yes. Green tortillas, nice. And you can actually purchase those in the store. This fresh one is nice because it's literally just 3 ingredients. Salad dressing, nice. Salads, more broccoli, more sprouts in everything. Yes, salads, stir fries, salads, bigger salad, more salad. Yeah, salads are fantastic. Grow sprouts, nice. Incorporate sprouts. We'll make your tortillas cool. Green powder. Okay, we can talk about the green powder. Collard greens, more calcium. Yes, more bioavailable calcium than a cup of milk. Amazing. Specifically cooked collard greens. Green tortillas. Yes, matcha. Awesome. So it seems like you all have some amazing ideas. Definitely salads are a big one. And don't forget to sneak in those greens whenever you're making, I don't know if you like pasta, if you like pizza, if you like sandwiches, if you like wraps, if you, right, getting in a little bit here and there. It doesn't just have to look like a mountain of salad when you're getting in more greens. Awesome job, everybody. Thank you for answering that. And then lastly, this more has to do with mindset. Do you have to eat more greens? Like, what's your why? Why do you want to include more greens? Is this a have to? And with this question, this is kind of a trick question. So I really want to make it clear that nobody in hearing me right now has to do anything. You will die if you don't. It's preventative to prevent cancer and be healthier. That's why you want to do this. Thank you for these answers, Jeffrey, Christina, Kim. Amazing. You want to. Amen, Cindy. Yes, thank you, Cindy, for health reasons. Yes, if you want a better chance to live longer. Exactly. So I love all these answers because it's good for you, because you get to. Thank you, Angela. You took the words right out of my mouth. You get to do this. We get to do this. We are so privileged that we have this knowledge right now. We are so able to go to the store to buy these vegetables, to whatever it is. We truly get to do this. So keep that excited headspace, keep that empowered headspace around, oh my gosh, I'm very excited to live my best life, to take care of myself with every meal, having that intention of, wow, I'm nurturing myself. I love myself. I'm loving on myself with these greens at every meal. It's amazing. Hot meal with more greens that doesn't involve pasta. I love stews. I love stir-fried vegetables with rice and beans. I love curries. Curries are probably my favorite. There's so many types of Indian curries and Thai curries that I'm beyond like, oh, so delicious. Yeah, if you haven't found a curry that you like, there's got to be one that you like. Like some of them aren't even that spicy. Spinach pasta. So what's really cool about this tortilla recipe, if you just roll up the tortilla, maybe roll it a little bit thinner, roll up the tortilla and make slices and unroll them, that becomes pasta. And just boil it, maybe with a tablespoon of olive oil in the boiling water. Boil this pasta for like 5 minutes, and you got yourself some fresh kale pasta. It's so amazing and fun and delicious. And if you even wanted to make like gnocchi, if you were too lazy to because I'm kind of honestly lazy with this stuff, I don't want to take too much time cooking. If you don't want to roll them all up and spread them all out and make little pasta noodles, you could just make little pieces and throw it in the pot and boil it. And that could be like a fresh kale gnocchi with literally just 2 ingredients, flour and kale, which is really fun. But I don't want to spend too much time anymore. We've got 10 more minutes for a Q&A, and I know you all have incredible, I love butter lettuce. Wrapped around banana makes a healthy, lazy breakfast. That's awesome. Wow, what a way to include greens in your breakfast. But let's do some Q&A. I love all the questions. Thank you so much, Larissa. You want to help navigate this?
Absolutely. If you want to go ahead and stop your screen share so we can see you while we ask some questions. This has been amazing. And just a reminder, please put your questions in the Q&A feature. The chat goes way too fast for us to keep track of some of these. I know there's already been some amazing questions that didn't end up in the Q&A that I'm trying to keep in my head, but help me out, drop it in the Q&A. Our very first Q&A I saw here actually just said, "You are great. Thank you." And so I echo that. This has been absolutely wonderful. So much information. Every time you come, it's like, how does she actually have more to teach us? It is incredible how much knowledge you have. And we're so grateful that this is now your 3rd time with us for this series. So we are so grateful. But I will jump into some of these questions that are filling up here. One question we have, is there any nutritional difference between the baby version? So baby spinach versus spinach or baby kale versus kale?
That's a great question. I actually would love to research that further. I'm not sure of the answer. I do think, though, that a baby kale, its potential for having more nutrients in there is actually like comparing sprouts, for example, to the leaf. Sprouts are much more highly concentrated. I would assume that the baby kale is actually more beneficial. Just an assumption, don't know the peer-reviewed literature on that topic. I would just assume that because it's a little bit more concentrated, it's a little bit younger, it hasn't had the opportunity to have these components die off. It's really a little bit more fresh. I think it might be better to have the baby. And actually baby kale, it seems to me, is more tender and might be more palatable. So that's a great option. If you like baby spinach and baby kale, I would go with that, but I do want to research it more.
Great. Thank you. All right. Our next question is, what is a great supplement that you can take if you don't have any greens in your fridge?
That's a good question. The one approved product from a third-party testing site that tests, is this well absorbed? Does it have heavy metals contaminated in it? Does it actually contain exactly what it says it contains on the label? Amazing Grass is a company, not sponsored. This is very, like, I'm not allowed to, do any kind of collaborations. This is just very simple. This happens to be one company that did have many approved top picks for products, and they have a variety of greens products. One of them that was a top pick on the third-party testing site, it contained barley grass, wheatgrass, just a bunch of different foods that are really, really dense with chlorophyll. And yeah, that can be a good brand to look for. It's called Amazing Grass. Warning, some of these products I would look for if they have added sugars. And also warning, you're in for a rude awakening if you're not aware that your drink is going to taste like grass, So maybe squeeze some lemon in there with it, kind of close your nose and like take it for the health gains. yeah, some of these products are very grassy and green tasting. And if it does taste good, I would invite you to be skeptical. Like, why does this taste good? Sometimes combining it with, they also have antioxidant powders that contain things like, like blueberry powder to help. Those can also be sweeter. So sometimes if it's really, really too green and you don't want to drink it, combining it with another antioxidant powder that's more fruit based can help with that as well and not have any added sugars. Yeah, that's a great question.
All right, thank you. Okay. Then we have someone saying they missed the first and the second workshop. Can I get a recording and watch them? Absolutely. Both the first and the second parts of this 3-part series are up on our video library. My colleague will drop that link into the chat here in just a moment, the video library, if you missed it. This talk is also being recorded and will be up in just a couple of weeks. It's also being streamed on our Facebook Live. So as soon as we're done, you can go back and rewatch it again. So you have a couple of different places that you can watch them. But yes, the first and the second are in our video library. Okay, the next question is are cooked vegetables less nutritious than raw vegetables?
I get this question often. It depends on the vegetable. When it comes to kale and broccoli, as I mentioned previously, that enzyme myrosinase is very heat sensitive. So it's going to be important that you either eat it raw or use the hack and hold method, which this enzyme does its incredible action on the mechanical chewing of the raw vegetable. So simply chopping converts, like the enzyme gets released and the sulforaphane is created when you simply chop. It just takes a little bit. So chop your kale, your raw, and then cook it, and then it'll still be just as healthy as if you ate it raw. That's called the hack and hold method. That's coined by Dr. Michael Greger. But for sure, you're going to be losing some vitamin C when you cook. Vitamin C is heat sensitive. There's other antioxidants that are heat sensitive. Now, when it comes to mushrooms, for example, and carrots, mushrooms are actually, their beneficial antioxidants are more bioavailable when the mushrooms are cooked. Mushrooms are also, they're a fungus, right? So it might be healthier in the long run if you're eating a lot of mushrooms to kill off any potentially harmful bacteria to cook these mushrooms. Carrots, there's a lot of benefit from eating raw carrots, of course, and the beneficial beta carotene, that orange color, that's so important for our eyesight and our skin turnover, our skin health. That component is actually more bioavailable with cooked carrots. So if you steam your carrots, if you microwave your carrots, if they're cooked, the fibers are broken down so that those fibers don't get in the way of the absorption of these nutrients. Similarly, if you've heard about the red pigment in tomatoes and watermelon, it's called lycopene. This red pigment is also more bioavailable in cooked tomatoes rather than raw tomatoes. So if you've heard of, I feel like a lot of older men they swear by eating a lot of tomato sauce, or at least I'm thinking a lot of doctors that I've worked with in the past, like constantly trying to get in their tomato sauce. This is because lycopene, there's some research out there that it may help prevent prostate cancer. Lycopene is also really important for our skin health and helping to prevent skin cancer as well. And these are, there is always more research needed. I'm not saying that this is matter of fact, that this will cure this or this for sure prevents this. There's a lot of factors, but it's more bioavailable when the tomatoes are cooked, which is really fascinating. So I think it's a really good idea to include both raw and cooked vegetables.
I love that. I am just so impressed by the wealth of knowledge that you have on this subject. And I see a lot of people saying thank yous in here as well for that. All right, we have time for a couple more questions. I'm sorry if we're not going to get to all your questions today. Hopefully you can come back to our next nutritional webinar, or even Katie gave her contact.
Yeah, I'm going to put my email in the chat, kreines@createcures.org. Please send me an email. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions or set up a consultation. Just saying. I'm excited to answer a couple more questions while we have time.
Someone was asking about your green tortilla recipe. What is a good flour to use in the recipe?
Mm-hmm. I happen to use an organic all-purpose flour. If you like, as I mentioned in the video, if you like a gluten-free version, I like to recommend chickpea flour simply because beans and chickpeas are a great source of iron, a great source of fiber, protein. Interesting. Green cauliflower flour. I think that another option would be like a whole wheat flour would be good. Really, whatever you like, whatever you prefer is fantastic. Sure, white flour is not necessarily preferred. It's better to have like a more whole grain, wholesome flour. But yeah, I think that it's also a good idea to just sometimes I get really, I can tell that maybe some people out there can relate that I can take things too far and make things too healthy, and then I don't want to eat it. It just doesn't taste good anymore. So I'm like, okay, I got to balance this a little bit. It's like, okay, like, sure, this has all-purpose flour, but it's got a lot of kale in there as well, trying to have some balance with it and still make it taste delicious and palatable and really, really enjoy it, and not have it be like, okay, wow, what is Katie trying to serve me? This is not, it's just past the point of being delicious. So I think that honestly, though, I do like it when it has whole wheat flour. I simply don't have whole wheat flour right now, but you should give it a try. That's a good question, whatever you prefer.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, where was that question? Okay, someone's asking about organic baby foods. Can those be used as a supplement or in the place of greens? Are they healthy?
Interesting. I wish I knew more about organic baby foods. I'm sure that, yeah, if that's actually a great idea, right? Don't they have like pureed peas in those little pouches? Sure. I think that would be a great idea. Like, instead of getting a energy bar or a granola bar, to have some pureed vegetables in your purse. Fantastic. That's a great idea. I never thought of that.
A hack over here. Thank you.
Yeah, love it. Whose question was that? That's such an interesting idea. I should try that.
All right, let's see. I have two more questions, I think, for you. We have one question here that someone said, you talked about heavy metals, lead, cadmium. I can't say that word. They've heard that a lot of muscle building smoothies have heavy metals. And so they're wondering, how do you know what products have dangerous metals in them? They don't usually say lead in the ingredient.
This is a great question, and I wish it could be answered more simply. I do pay for a service. As a dietitian, I pay for a third-party testing service where they do a bunch of testing to make sure that these products are what they say they are. There are certain, I really do apologize. I want to get back and answer this again, because there are certain, for example, like the organic sticker, and then there's the kosher sticker. Like, there are certain B Corporation, like there are certain things to look for that have been third-party tested and approved. But off the top of my head, I honestly cannot recall what that is to look out for when it comes to buying supplements. It's really a toss-up, because supplements are not regulated by the FDA. So these supplements, we would hope that at the end of the day, these companies are really after our best interest and really looking to help make us healthier. But sometimes they do. They put fillers in there. Who knows what they put in there, and they're really not regulated. So it's interesting that this person said muscle shakes, because pre-workout and protein powders have probably had the worst reputation for having things that are for having powders that aren't exactly what they say they are, for having a lot of additives and things that are harmful for us. So it's really important to get us a company that's well reputable, that's well sourced, And then, yeah, that's one service that a lot of my clients and patients really appreciate, is they'll send me this long list of supplements that they're taking or that they've been thinking about and that they've been wondering about. And I'm able to look them up and say, hey, like this product would be better. This one's been shown to not be absorbed well. This one, like there's a lot of research out there. And if you're really curious about your specific supplements that you're using, send me an email. I'd be happy to help with that. And I'd love to answer that further with like, what's the stamp to look for? I don't remember what it is. That's a great question. Great.
Yeah. So Katie put her email there in the chat. So if you want to send her an email with these questions. And our last question is there any benefit to hummus?
Of course. Oh, hummus is amazing. Gosh, hummus, as I was saying before, with maybe trying to use chickpea flour, hummus is mostly chickpeas, and chickpeas are a great source of fiber, protein, iron. And when you have any type of bean or pea, you're getting in resistant starch, which can really help to blunt any blood sugar spike of your next meal even. So that resistant starch is a great probiotic fiber that can help build your microbiota to help with your immune system and, of course, help prevent cancer and other inflammatory issues. So chickpeas are amazing. So first of all, it's a chickpea base. Second of all, we've got tahini, which is a sesame seed paste. And sesame seeds have the most calcium than any other, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, tahini, amazing source of calcium. And it's not calcium, it's the protein. Sesame seeds have more protein by weight than any other seed or nut. And getting in that calcium from a source from a plant source is, of course, important. So I'm always saying, like, make sure to eat some tahini, make sure to have some hummus, because people, as I said earlier, going plant-based, trying to decrease dairy intake, we don't necessarily always want to be relying on fortified foods. Let's look for more hummus. Let's look for more cooked broccoli, cooked collard greens to get in that bioavailable calcium. Also, it happens to have lemon juice in there as well. So I don't think I mentioned very explicitly, when we're combining a source of vitamin C, when we're sprinkling lemon juice on our meals, on our beans, on our greens, that's going to be the best way to absorb plant-based iron. So non-heme iron from plants, it requires vitamin C from lemon juice to absorb that iron. And with the hummus, we've got lemon juice, we've got that tahini, we've got those chickpeas, and those all together are going to be really, really well absorbed minerals like iron. So, and of course, there's olive oil in there, which is a great source of essential fatty acid omega-6. Absolutely essential. You need that to build good hormones and for heart health, brain health. So hummus is quite the superfood. I feel like it's definitely underrated. Everybody go eat some more hummus, dip some raw broccoli in it, and thank me later.
Well, you just made my night with that. I was very nervous for that answer because I love some hummus. So I'm so happy to hear that it has some value to it. All right. Well, I won't keep too much more of your time tonight. Thank you again, Katie. This has been so wonderful. You've donated so much of your time to this community. And we are so absolutely appreciative of you and all that you've taught us. Go check out our video library if you haven't seen the other parts of this. Katie even did a webinar earlier than that sometime last year, I believe in September. So there's plenty of Katie content. And we hope to have you again, Katie. Thank you so much for all of this. We are so appreciative.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, this has been a dream come true for me. I love getting to be nerdy about this and have other people actually care what I have to say. It's been such a dream. And please do send me an email. I really would love to help however I can. And I hope everybody enjoys their broccoli and hummus.
Thank you so much, Katie. Everyone enjoy your dinners and have a wonderful night.
Bye.